That's Phil Collins in the air tonight. Good evening, this is the Community Show with me, Steve Haigh, here on Radio 9 Springs, the programme where you do the talking. I'm here till 9 o'clock and I have a guest coming in the studio in a couple of minutes' time. He's making a film about the railway line between Yeovil and Taunton. Now, it closed in 1967, a very, very long time ago, but what he's hoping to find is old cinema footage of the line, of the steam trains that used to leave Yeovil Station, Yeovil Town Station, go along the line through Henford Station, up through Montacute, all the way up to Martock, across to Langport and then down to Taunton, because that was the route of the line. Now, do you have old cinema footage or even still photographs of the steam trains that run on this line, which is much missed, of course? If we had it today, we'd solve a lot of our traffic problems, wouldn't we? But we haven't got it. The line is still visible, of course. It's now a sort of a pathway, or maybe it's a cycle route and that kind of thing, but no lines and no trains running. So my guest tonight is called Phil Lilly. He lives in Yeovil. He makes films. That's a bit of a hobby for him. And his latest venture, as I say, is to make this film all about the Yeovil to Taunton line. But he needs old cinema footage to put it all together, and he'll be coming in to make that appeal. So stay with us if you're interested in railways. Maybe you've got a bit of old cinema footage and you'd like to offer it to Phil, so he'll tell you how you can do that. My guest tonight on the Community Show is a local man called Phil Lilly. Now, Phil runs a business called, a part-time business, called Aarchive Films. He makes films of old railway lines all over the southwest of England, and at the moment he's putting together a film about the Taunton to Yeovil line, which some of you might still remember from way back in the 1960s. Very sad that it's gone, of course. So Phil is coming to the studio because he needs archive footage, ideally film footage, but also still photographs of this line. So hi, Phil, good to see you.
Good evening. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Why are you doing this? Why are you putting this one together, this particular film of the Taunton to Yeovil line? Why that line in particular?
It's kind of a nice situation that I moved up to Yeovil a few years ago because my wife was born in South Petherton. We thoroughly love Yeovil, and like I say, I've always made archive railway footage, historical documentaries from the southwest, and they were mostly based around Plymouth, which is where I'm from. But then moving up to Yeovil, we one day walked down the line towards Penmill and realised it was obviously part of the old railway. So I thought to myself, I think there's a production here. If I could just find some old movie footage of it, so I could put something together to help people remember what a wonderful line it was.
Where did the line start? And it went through also some of the local places around here, didn't it?
That's right, yeah. Originally it was from Durston, which is just outside of Taunton. It was extended to Taunton later on, but it went through famously, well, say famously, but most well known, Langport West, and then down to Martock. And then as it got into Yeovil, there was actually 4 stops in Yeovil at one point. Obviously, there is still Penmill and Junction are still there and still very, very well used. But there was also Yeovil Town. And then originally there was Henford Station, which was actually relegated to a goods yard when Yeovil Town opened. So Henford Station was only opened as a passenger traffic less than 4 years. But then because Henford as a goods station, the industrial area started building up. They actually put in a halt. So there was Henford Station, then Henford Halt, which was opened in the 1930s.
And was that connected to the Westland factory? I seem to remember it might have been.
It was a little bit further down. The Halt was actually much closer to Henford Stoneworks. So it was actually much closer to there. But yes, people would have used it to get to Westlands.
And there may have been aircraft parts that were moved around down to Southampton or the Isle of Wight, where Westland had sites.
During the war, yes, and there is an awful lot of records about it. Like I say, I've only started recently doing the homework, and like I say, as I said to you, I've just finished a video which is on our YouTube channel about Henford Halt and Henford Station. But yes, there was also a stop for goods trains for Westlands, which would carry all kinds of materials for aircrafts and helicopters.
So this line was closed. This is part of the beaching cuts, wasn't it?
Yes.
But there are still traces out there, aren't they, of where the line ran which are now cycle paths and walkways and that sort of thing. I mean, if you go into Nine Springs Country Park, for example, you can actually visibly see, can't you, where this station used to be?
You could walk along it, cycle it, take the dog for a walk. But yeah, you can walk from Lysander Road down to Penn Mill, and that was part of the old railway there, yeah. I've been to a few other places as well, like Thornley, which was another one of the stops, where the train would go under the bridge. The bridge, unfortunately, has now been filled in, but oddly enough, there is still a tunnel there, which is a tunnel for the wildlife and badgers. But the station itself, unfortunately, is completely gone.
You're making this film. How much footage have you managed to acquire so far?
Annoyingly, at the moment, not much. But what is most frustrating is I know there is footage out there. I have seen footage from other people that was made into a video a good few years ago, and I have been trying to reach out to them. And it's just because we specialise with the cine film. Obviously, photographs are wonderful, and to look at the history and so forth is magical, but to have them as movie images, it's kind of what we always specialised in.
But not many people in those days would have had cine cameras. I suppose that's the only...
It was very expensive. My favourite story about that was you would shoot about 50 foot of reel and then send it all off and get it processed. And I still remember Dad, because he had all the equipment and everything else, he had a microphone on it, and I've still got him at one point saying, don't film for that long, that's just cost me 50p.
You're quite right about that, because I think that was the length of films in those days. Black and white, of course. It wouldn't matter really, I mean, if it was colour. Was the colour around in those days?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen colour as early as the 1930s. Yeah, you would certainly have colour back in those days. Obviously some people couldn't afford the colour, it was just that little bit extra. But no, any kind of movie image, that's kind of what I'm after.
Who's going to have the film, do you think? Who are the people out there who might have cinefilm of trains going up and down this line, the Taunton to Yeovil line?
The two main people that I speak to are either train enthusiasts who would be there and capturing all that information, or it would be people who holidayed on the line, people who may have travelled down to Yeovil for the day, travelled up to Taunton for the day, and just had a cine camera and wanted to take it out and enjoy the ride.
Like you say, train spotters, they might be the ones, I suppose.
Yes.
As well as doing this particular film, you've done other films as well, haven't you?
Yeah. We've covered many things. I'm just currently working on updating one. I know it's a little bit away, but from Exeter to Barnstaple, and then Barnstaple to Ilfracombe, which is in North Devon. But we had movie footage from Barnstaple to Ilfracombe, originally shot, and we think what was 1898, so over 120 years old, and the footage was still quite incredible and still very, very good. And I've just finished a video which was from Brent down to Kingsbridge in Devon, and again, it's one of those lines that I see so many people saying that if it was open today, it would be so good for the tourism industry, but unfortunately it's now the infrastructure has been taken up so much. It's such a shame to see.
It's interesting that you should say that, because some of these lines are coming back, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. We originally shot, Dad passed away unfortunately back in 2001, and pre that we actually shot some footage at Oakhampton, which was shut at the time, but of course Oakhampton has now been back open again. So again, some of these places, they still have in place where they could put the lines down again.
Clearly you're a rail enthusiast. When you look back at what happened under Beeching, it's very sad, isn't it, really, and such a short-sighted policy at the time, wasn't it?
I've got to say, playing devil's advocate, I understand what Beeching was trying to do. He was trying to ultimately save the privatisation of the railways money. But that just meant cutting off so many wonderful places that with a rail link today would be so prosperous. And you think about the smaller communities like Martock and Langport, which both smaller areas, but having a rail link would have been so vital to some people because they just couldn't afford a car.
I mean, today to be able to say go from Yeovil to Martock and Martock to Yeovil would be terrific, wouldn't it, really, on a train? And it'd solve a lot of the traffic congestion and cut down on emissions and all those sort of things. So it would be tremendous to have it back. So that's what you want people to do. How do they get in touch with you, Phil? Do you have an address, an email address, that kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, if they find our website, which is archivefilms.com, and there's 2 A's on the archive, but archivefilms.com, they can contact me through there. And also, like I say, I've got a growing YouTube channel, which has got all of this movie footage. So if anybody's interested in any of the old railways in the southwest, we've got plenty of films on there for you to watch.
So it's old footage of the line between Yeovil to Taunton. That's what you're looking for. And the Henford Holt and the Henford Station, all of that sort of thing. That's the footage that you most want to get hold of.
Yeah, like I say, even if it's just a few seconds worth of footage, I'm happy to have a look at it for you, because ultimately the more I can collate, the more interesting the whole video would be at the end of the day.
Well, I think it's fantastic. A great project. I hope it works out for you, Phil. Thanks for coming in the studio and talking to us. That's great.
Lovely.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Aarchive Films is constantly on the lookout for its next documentary celebrating the golden age of steam or trains of the past, and we need your help. If you have any old movie footage from the trains of yesteryear, please reach out to us. Preserve the magic of steam trains for generations to come. Please feel free to contact us via our website. Thank you.